Rosa the Beloved One 9. By Hakjin Kim. Paul and Olivia get to the house before Nancy, and then hear the garage door shut. Night falls, but Nancy can't fall asleep. Lying on the bed, she stares at the ceiling vacantly and thinks of Helen, who was a beautiful girl with a fair complexion and cobalt blue eyes. Nancy was used to hear from people around her that Helen didn't take after her at all. Nancy didn't care about that, saying Helen might take after her great-grandmother. As of now, Helen's absence is making Nancy feel empty and lonely. But she becomes curious about Rosa as she hears the clock ticking. Paul told Nancy that Rosa looks just like Nancy. Brown eyes, curly brunette hair, healthy complexion, and an athletic. Nancy sits up and begins to check her cell phone records. Thankfully, she finds a message from Roy. Nancy texts Roy. "Hey, this is Nancy, Helen's mom. I'm sorry to bother you so late. I'm just wondering if you know Rosa, who goes to the same school. Can I ask you a favor? Will you tell Rosa that a woman wants to see her at the school library tomorrow at noon?" Nancy receives an answer from Roy. "Hi, I'm so glad to hear from you, Mrs. Green. I'll do that for you. You don't want me to mention your name to her, do you? All right. I'll let you know if Rosa can meet tomorrow morning." Nancy texts, "Thanks, I appreciate your help. You're very thoughtful. Good night." In the morning, Nancy gets a message from Roy that Rosa will show up at the library at noon. Nancy has fixed her eyes on the clock of the kitchen to check the time all morning before leaving home. She arrives at the school parking lot 5 minutes ahead of time and goes right to the library. Stepping into the hall, she puts on her sunglasses and finds Rosa first, who is standing at the library door. At first sight, Nancy is struck by Rosa's face, which is definitely taking after Nancy. Like Paul said, Rosa looks exactly the same as Nancy does. Holding her excitement, Nancy tries to calm down and passes Rosa. As if she's a passerby, Nancy feels Rosa cast a glance at Nancy. Just to be sure, Rosa is staring at Nancy, who goes to the end of the hall and disappears to the door on the right. Rosa looks like she doesn't know who is going to be her visitor. In the room where Nancy walks in mindlessly, a woman sits at the desk and looks up at Nancy in surprise. Nancy is at a loss. "Whoops, I was looking for the library door, ma'am. I'm sorry to interrupt you here at work." She continues to talk about personal things to buy some time. A woman at the desk kindly asks Nancy whose mother she is. At that moment, Nancy excuses herself and gets out of the room. In the hallway, Nancy finds no one at the library door and begins to feel forlorn. She keeps looking around while heading to the entrance of the building. In her mind, Nancy wants Rosa back right away to fill a big hole in her heart, which was formed after Helen died. On the way home, Nancy stops by Paul and Olivia, who are at work together. Nancy knows they have been always on her side and ready to do everything for her. "Hey, guys. Can you guess what I did? I saw Rosa last night. I asked Roy to arrange a meeting with her without telling who's coming to see her. Oh, at first glance she was my daughter. I could see she knew nothing. She'll never expect what's going on around her. Poor Rosa, she'll get hurt if she finds out our existence," Nancy says, with a confused look on her face. "If Helen was here with me, I would have never wanted Rosa back no matter what happened. Though Helen didn't take after me at all, she was my loving girl." A sad smile comes over her face. "Dad, you didn't tell Linda the result of DNA testing yet, did you? I think we need time to think it over. And don't even think about a suit or something." "Okay, Nancy. I'll wait. But I think we should take Rosa back as an heir. I mean, we have no offspring but you," Paul says. Nancy shrugs her shoulders. "But it's not that simple. If Helen had been alive, Rosa wouldn't have been in my life. If we get Rosa back, the Millers should have Helen, but it's impossible. Oh, it's all my fault. I miss poor Helen." Nancy begins to sob. Olivia draws Nancy close to her and lays her hand on Nancy's shoulder, looking at Paul. "Oh, sweetie, we're gonna try to make everything good," Olivia says softly. When Rosa comes home from school, she sees Linda's dog playing in the driveway. As Rosa approaches the garage, it glances at Rosa and moves to another bush, sniffing. In the kitchen, Linda is chopping the tomato to make the casserole. She seems to focus on cooking without noticing Rosa coming. "Hey, Grandma, I'm home." "You're making a good dish." "You always please my nose," Rosa says. "Oh, I didn't hear you come in." "Noah didn't bark at you, huh?" "How was your school?" Linda says. "Good. By the way, I didn't make it. When I was supposed to meet a woman at the library door, it was a favor for Roy. But she didn't show up." "Roy? Who is he? I haven't heard of him," Linda says. "He's Alice's friend. This morning he told me a woman wanted to see me at noon." "I have no idea who she is," Rosa says, taking her cell phone. I wonder who she is too. But forget it," Linda says, thinking of Olivia. Linda is sure of Paul getting the result of DNA testing. Under the hot sun, things go well as if nothing has happened. Rosa studies hard to get excellent grades, and her family members do their work as usual. Linda only spends her days with her heart in her mouth, because she is anxious about how Paul will do the action with the proof of DNA. Every morning she checks the mailbox on arriving at Anne's house, and then does her daily job, which Anne has never asked. By the time Linda gets tired of watching her cell phone to check whether she has received any message from the Parkers, she hears the phone ringing in the living room. She is startled at the sound and then almost fainted at the news. Rosa's hospitalization after she ran her bike into a car. Automatically she calls Olivia to let her know what happened to Rosa. And then she makes a face and tilts her head, thinking it's ridiculous that Olivia was the first person to be called regarding Rosa instead of Anne. Linda rushes to the hospital to see Rosa. In the emergency room, Paul and Olivia stand at the foot of the bed, looking at Rosa with serious faces. When Linda approaches, she sees a woman beside Olivia who looks just like Rosa. "Oh my gosh, she looks like Rosa. I should call Anne not to come now," Linda mutters to herself.